Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Tonight is the August 27, 2020 Town Board meeting. We have a special guest to lead us in the pledge tonight, Mary Kate Chinaski from Girl Scout Troop 10428. Please rise for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So I have a few awards tonight. Just bear with me. How are you tonight? Very good. This is Mary Kate Chinaski. She's receiving the Gold Award for Girl Scouts. I'm just going to give you a little background. Mary Kate met with Girl Scout troops and service unit teams from 2 counties, local groups, family members, and John Jay students, and presented the history and mission statement for the Ronald McDonald House. Mary Kate spoke about ways to volunteer and support the house. She instructed the groups on how to make grab-and-go bags, small bags filled with healthy snacks and beverages for the families to grab and go on their way to the hospital so they have some nourishment while at their child's bedside. MK then made over 300 of these bags with groups she met with. She spoke with the Meals That Heal program, planned healthy menus with each group, shop for supplies, and then supervise and help prepare the meals from start to finish with each group. Ages ranges 8 to 65. MK held a collection of drive of cleaning supplies, personal hygiene products, non-perishable food items. Then she made 12 care bags for the Maria Ferrari Children's Hospital and how they are a premier hospital for premature babies. She explained how a crocheted octopus can help a premature baby because the tentacles mimic the umbilical cord, so the babies grab onto those instead of the tubes. They are hooked up is much safer. Wow. She started a program of making the crocheted octopi and now has over 200 adorable octopi to deliver to the hospital. Mary Kate is a graduating senior and has volunteered with the Grace Smith House, the East Fishkill Library, sings with the Dotted Half Notes at local nursing homes, East Fishkill Veterans events. Also, she's a member of the John Jay Yearbook staff and John Jay Proscenium Theater for 4 years. She has been a Girl Scout for 13 years and has also earned the Bronze and Silver Award. Mary Kay is attending Dutchess Community College, and we have an award for you. Congratulations, and we commend you on your dedication, hard work, and perseverance in the completion of your Take Action project, raising awareness about Ronald McDonald House and the Maria Ferrari Children's Hospital. You're an excellent role model for the youth of our town. The certificate of achievement is presented to you on behalf of the town board. Congratulations. And 2 other awards that couldn't be with us tonight is for Joanna Houston. Her Take Action project was honoring Dutchess County's first female CEO, and Eve Sauer for Art Through My Eyes. Congratulations to them both as well. It's always nice to give those awards. Usually, Councilman Cassidy and I attend that event at Gayhead Elementary, where there's many more awards, and they give a nice ice cream dessert afterwards, but sorry, Peter.
He's
Just a
still got
few.
his phone muted.
That's right, clerk. So good evening, thanks for joining us. Hope everybody's enjoying their summer. Just a few comments before we begin. I have been continuing our calls with the county executive and all the mayors and supervisors in Dutchess County about the concerns for the COVID protocols and procedures for COVID-19. Fortunately, the numbers in Dutchess County have remained low, and that's a great sign. Things are continuing to move forward. Finally, this Monday, this past Monday, August 24th, gyms and fitness centers in all the regions in New York were allowed to reopen. Granted, they were at a 1/3 capacity. All the members must wear face coverings, and they have to adhere to all the other procedures and protocols that the governor's order indicates, but at least they're there to reopen. They were one of the hardest hit industries, and we've heard from a lot of gym owners in our town that are really struggling. So if you are a member, please continue to use them. If you want to help support some of these businesses, please join these gyms. On September 1st, we will open up our town hall to the public on Mondays and Thursdays. Mondays and Thursdays. Wednesdays and Fridays will continue to be open to the public but by appointment only. We have been open by appointment for many, many months now. On Tuesdays, we will remain closed for court. Court is very busy here in East Fishkill, and it's very difficult to maintain all the procedures and protocols and social distancing that is necessary with the COVID-19 because of all the people that come into court. So with all the business that we do here during the day, all the town employees, we decided Tuesdays is for court only. It's been working out very well. I thank the judges and the staff for implementing how they spread out all the cases. It's been working really well. And I like to thank all our staff and employees for all the patience. It's difficult. There's a lot of changes to all these protocols. We have to have everybody fill out the forms when they come here and list all the states. Those states change time to time. We got to keep a record of everything. It's difficult, but we're all getting it done. And I like to thank all the residents for all their patience as well. Speaking of a lot of meetings, we have been continuing our countywide police reform and modernization call with the county executive. He runs it. Includes him, all the mayors and supervisors in the county, and all the towns and cities who have police departments with their respective chiefs of police or their officers in charge, along with Dutchess County Emergency Response and the Dutchess County Sheriff's Office. We've been having a really great dialogue and exchange between all of us. Like I mentioned last month, this is a great opportunity for some police departments this will help them modernize and overhaul policies and procedures. Some departments are affected more than others, especially the departments that are not accredited. East Fishkill, our police department has been accredited since 1992. And this is it's a really big deal to be accredited. There's a lot of points that we have to meet every year to get this accreditation, and there's a lot of policies and procedures that we currently have to update and review. That's why things like chokeholds and things of that nature, East Fishkill, we have banned that for many, many years. That's just one example, but there's many more. But besides East Fishkill, only the Dutchess County Sheriff's Office and the town of Poughkeepsie are accredited agencies. All the rest in the county are not. So Dutchess County government and members of the focus group have been looking to us and the other two, the three of us, to take the lead pretty much in offering changes to policies and procedures. Now with the governor's order, we have to hold a public hearing before April of next year. And we have to allow residents to come and speak about our policies and procedures for our police department. And then we have to make some possible changes and then have another public hearing to pass these changes. So I'll keep everybody updated on what that schedule will be. But I'd like to thank our county executive, of course, our Sheriff Butch Anderson, for all their guidance, their leadership here. It's been a real process. It's the book that the governor sent each of us with all these things that we have to adhere to was about that thick. So I thank our Chief Bellino. You continue to run our PD as a role model for other departments. Thank you. More meetings. Tropical storm that we had the beginning of the month was a real doozy. That hit us hard on August 4th. We still have some repercussions from it. East Fishkill was one of the hardest hit municipalities. We had over 84% of the town out of power initially. During any storm event, the county executive, he has municipal calls with all the mayors and supervisors, and this was no exception. The first call he had was early the next morning, right after the storm. It included Central Hudson, Dutchess County Emergency Response, all the towns and cities, and basically that was one of 3 calls a day that we were on. One with them, Dutchess County Government, one with Central Hudson, and one with NYSEG. They would give us updates of where they're working and what their top priority items were. Also, a big shout out to our highway department, our police department. You guys really did an excellent job. You're the eyes on the ground for me to tell me where the down wires were, where the trees were down, so we could get emergency services to those lines so they could shut the power off, so the crews could come in and clear out the trees. It was a lot of work. It was a lot of man hours, and I thank all of them who were included. Central Hudson did say that this was one of the worst storms in their history as far as power outages go, which I was surprised at. And before I go on my rant about Central Hudson, I would like to thank all their workers, all their linemen, the people on the ground, the liaisons to the municipal leaders, the lower management. They were all fantastic. They worked around the clock. They assisted all of us as best they could. And where I have, and the town has some issues, is the senior management that handles it all. In my opinion, they don't manage their company correctly. They give themselves these larger salaries and bonuses, and they don't use those dollars towards maintenance of the streets or to manage to clip the trees. Many years now, other supervisors and I have indicated how less we see these crews during the spring and summer months to clean the trees off of the roadways, to clear branches off of the power lines. Maybe if they did more of that, maybe this lack of maintenance leads to more of these power outages, which I think makes sense. So there's poor management and poor planning upon the senior management of Central Hudson. I think that they should reevaluate this. We have a resolution later on which will address that, and we'll talk more about it. But I believe that they have to reevaluate how they look at their maintenance of their wires. Now, as for Altice or Optimum Cablevision, they by far are the worst culprit of all. Many of you know I sent out a press release in opposition to Optimum's monopoly and inability to service the customers properly. East Fishkill, we have by far the most Optimum customers in Dutchess County, 30% more than the next highest town. We have over 10,000 customers for Optimum. They virtually had no communication with our residents and zero communication with East Fishkill government. I sent multiple emails, calls, never answered. One councilman, I think, was able to get through, Councilman Bepan, and they gave him very little information. And I think that this is just shameful, and it's just wrong. The county executive did set up a call with Optimum and the Public Service Commission 1 week after the storm. It included all the municipal leaders on the call, and there was a representative from the Public Service Commission there, and he and all of us really gave them hell because we had to continue to tell them how they're non-responsive to their customers, they're non-responsive to government. They don't even get on the calls that the county executive has for the storm events. This would help them manage and probably get things online quicker, but they don't attend. It's disrespectful to the residents. And tonight when we discuss the resolution, it's a resolution on attempts to revoke their franchise agreement for Central Hudson and Optimum. Also, I want to ask the town board if permission to send out letters to multiple carriers and see what obstacles that these new providers have in bringing services here. We discussed this many times. It's hard for these companies to come into the area because they have to make a large investment in infrastructure. How can the town assist? How can we help? I want to send out letters to these providers asking them what we could do. We want more competition. We want them to come here. So we will discuss that more. Four Corners. The end of June, the town sent out a letter to the Four Corner residents for irrigation suspension. And we needed to cut down on the amount of water being used there because we are having a problem with one of our wells there, and we were trying to rehab it. Well, that still has not been finished up. Actually, it's gotten a little hairier. Is that correct, engineer?
Yes, we're having a problem. That well is a rock well. It's in a limestone formation, and while it was clear at the onset or after the initial development of the well, it's since turned cloudy. We're doing turbidity sampling, and so far it's getting actually a little bit worse than better. We don't know an actual time frame. I mean, we're not giving up on the well, but it could be a month, it could be a year of flushing to get the well to clear up. So with that said, we recommended pursuing another well, and this well would be a gravel well on the other side of Phillips Road, where we have one good gravel well right now. It is a Guidi well, it needs cartridge filters, but the plant is set up for that already, so I think that's the path we're going to take, just so that next summer comes, in case this first well is not up and running, we have this other well hopefully up and running.
Hopefully that is, because right now we have everybody on a schedule for irrigation.
That's correct.
It's been working well. If you could please adhere to the schedule. This way, we won't have a major problem like no water. Then if that happens, we have to truck in water and
Boil water notices.
boil
the whole
water
nine.
notices. We don't want to get to that. So please adhere to the notices. If you have any questions, please call our water department and you'll get all your questions answered. Most parents know school's going to be starting soon, what the district plans are for the reopening. It's actually unfortunate that the school superintendents of Wappingers, Carmel, Arlington, and Pauling, all school districts in the town of East Fishkill, have virtually no communication with me or any of the other supervisors of the towns that they are in. East Fishkill, I have zero actually contact with Arlington, Carmel, and Pauling. There are a few residents that do attend those schools. The large share, of course, is to Wappinger Central Schools. It would be nice, though, to have some communication, especially with all the COVID issues going on. I have reached out to some of the superintendents and have not heard back. Wappingers, they do, or they used to have quarterly meetings with the town supervisors that make up the district. But ever since COVID started, there's been very, very little communication with him or his staff. This would be an important time, the most important time you would think, to have communication with us and the school board, but we haven't had it. The superintendent of Wappinger Central Schools rolled out a plan for the reopening. He didn't let any of us know about it until after it was already done. It's a little unsettling because a lot of residents call here and ask about what's going on with the school. Some people just don't understand the difference between a local government and the school board, and that's fine. I try to answer the questions. Many of us field questions all the time on what's going on, but there's little communication. So we try to explain best we can what's going on, but especially during this COVID time, we would really love to have better communication with them. Luckily, I did have a meeting with the school board president, John Lumia, and Eddie Sloshower, which is the rep to the municipalities, and I do speak with one of the deputy school superintendents. He has been very forthcoming with some information when needed, so I thank them for that. And I'm sorry to the residents who have children that call here and ask questions and we don't have the answers. It's best to call the school superintendent's office than to call the town, but we'll try the best to give you whatever information we can. East Fishkill Economic Development Committee, we haven't been able to meet since the COVID started. I've been speaking with some of the members individually, been working with our Economic Development Director. He's been hard at work. Everybody knows one of our key initiatives for the board is economic development. We realize that we can't keep going to the taxpayer for increases all the time. We need to make sure we try and stabilize our tax base best we can. The only way to do this is to bring some businesses in and to provide new jobs for our community. Some people don't care about that. They don't want to see new businesses. Maybe they can afford the tax increases. Well, that's not the majority of the people. Majority of the people don't want to see large tax increases. East Fishkill, we've always been one of the lowest, the town with one of the lowest tax rate in Dutchess County and the surrounding counties. If you figure we have a full-time police force as well, if you figure that in, we have the lowest tax rate in Dutchess County by far, actually half than the next town with a full-time police department. But in saying all this, it's because the town board is hard at planning, and we try to facilitate zoning amendments, zoning changes to the town to allow businesses to come here, have a little bit of an easier path to start their businesses. One of the biggest complaints I hear from businesses is that New York State makes it difficult to do business here with all the red tape. Well, East Fishkill, we want your businesses here. We want you to be successful because, like I said, the more revenue that could come in from these businesses is less of a burden on our residents. We have a resolution tonight to receive an application from Blue Water Realty for the West Campus on Route 52. That's a property right across from the soccer fields on Route 52 where IBM used to own. They're submitting an application for a high-tech warehouse, which is probably something like the Gap in Fishkill, but smaller. It's good news for this property. This property has become somewhat of a blight, and this will really energize the whole corridor. With iPark on the other side, they're gaining businesses every day. This will just attract more companies to come here, set up shop in our town, provide jobs for our community. And this is a pure example of redevelopment. This is taking an older, dilapidated property and repurposing it. The town board, to its credit, several years ago, we changed a whole bunch of zoning allowances at that site, and we did a GEIS, a General Environmental Impact Statement, so these companies could come here and basically be shovel-ready. That's what they want. They want to come here and have less red tape to go through. So thank you to the town board for thinking ahead, doing this. This hard work that we're doing is starting to pay off. New buildings will be going up. It's going to look good. It's going to add more jobs. It's just encouraging news for the economic development of our town. And thank you again to all our town board, our professionals. They've been doing a superb job with this. I've been very demanding with this, and I thank them all. And we'll vote on that resolution later on. The Maybrook Trail. Everybody knows New York State is building a new trail. The Maybrook Trail is an important part of the Empire State Trail. It connects the Putnam Trailway and the Dutchess Rail Trail and the walkway over the Hudson State Park. The Empire State Trail, when completed, will create a 750-mile trail bike and walking path stretching from New York City to Canada and from Albany to Buffalo. But it's not quite done yet. Many people have been using the trail, even though it's closed. They're ignoring signage, and you really can't do that until it's officially open. I've gotten notices from New York State asking me to tell the residents, please don't go on the trail. It's not completed yet. There's areas of the trail that have some safety concerns because they're not completed, so they would hate to see something happen to somebody. So please don't use the rail trail yet. That new rail trail, it'll be done soon, hopefully by year's end. Today, Dutchess County Office for the Aging in East Fishkill had its annual senior picnic. It was a little different this year than usual. The traditional sit-down picnic wasn't available due to the COVID, but Office of the Aging put together a series of safe and social distance drive-through picnics for all the seniors throughout the county. We set up in back of the community center at the McGrath Field, and it was great. The county executive came, the Assemblyman Lawler, Senator Sue Serino. We got to speak with a lot of the seniors, and they were really happy. They looked good. We were happy to see them. And thank you to Councilman Marinaro attended, our county legislator Steve Caswell, and even Councilman Franco popped at the end. Thank you all for coming, and thank you to our seniors. Also, I'd like to mention is how we get information. You get a lot of information on social media. Please call us if you need details of information. This is our job. This is why we're here. Call one of the board members. Our phone numbers are listed on the website. You can email us, you could call us, you could come here. Many people do. Thank you for that. I appreciate you coming in, getting the correct information, because sometimes the information you find online is flawed. It has a lot of people's personal opinion attached to it, and you don't know what's correct or incorrect. We'll tell you what the information is, whatever details you need. Please call one of the board members. That's what we're here for. Lastly, I'd like to mention the passing one of East Fishkill's own, Judge Tom Dolan. He passed away at the end of last month. Judge Dolan, he joined the Army in 1965. He earned the rank of captain while serving as the Judge Advocate General. He earned several awards and commendations during his service, including 2 Bronze Stars in Vietnam, and he worked as an assistant district attorney and later a bureau chief for the Dutchess County District Attorney's Office. Judge Dolan was elected as our county court judge in 1992 and served until his retirement until 2010. Judge Dolan, he was really admired by many judges and attorneys throughout the county as our county court judge and the acting New York State Supreme Court judge. One funny story that Butch Anderson always says that dealt with Judge Dolan, they were very good friends, was there was this young man in Judge Dolan's courtroom for something very serious, and he was still in high school and he was going to be attending his senior prom that night. Well, his mother came to the court, asked to speak to the court, and Judge Dolan allowed her, and she explained to the judge how her son is a very good dancer and he really loves to dance, and he pleased to allow him to attend the prom, and she would make sure that he would be at the Dutchess County Court jail the next morning. She promised him. Well, Judge Dolan replied that he's happy that he's a nice dancer and he'll make sure that Sheriff Anderson danced with him all night at 150 North Hamilton Street at the Dutchess County Jail. So it was just a funny story, and there was a lot of them with Judge Dolan, and he will be sorely missed, and our condolences to his family as well. So that's all I have. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Councilperson Franco?
Present.
Councilperson Mazzaro?
Present.
Councilperson Baker?
Present.
Okay. Councilperson Cassidy?
Present.
Supervisor John Sandro?
Present. Thank you, Madam Clerk. The Deputy Supervisor is away, but he is joining us by Zoom tonight. So, thank you. Okay, we have 2 public hearings tonight. First one. Do I have a motion to open a public hearing, consider laws that would possibly extend the term for supervisor and highway superintendent from 2 to 4 years and limiting an individual to 4 consecutive terms?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing is now open. So, we were discussing this last month when we put this on the agenda, that we wanted to possibly think about putting on the ballot in November to allow the term of supervisor and highway superintendent to go from 2 to 4 years. Many towns in the county are 4-year terms for the supervisor and for the highway superintendent. As well, we had some discussion with the board, and at that point, one of the council persons indicated that we should think about term limits as well. So we had a little brief discussion, if you all remember, and then we decided to commingle it together to do a term limit of office for all the board members as well. So tonight, this is a law for us to allow it to go on the ballot only. This is up to the people vote. So it doesn't matter whatever we decide here, we don't decide anything, but to put it on the ballot in November. With that, let's open up to the public. Anybody wish to speak on the local law?
Hi, Ann Cover, long-term resident.
How are you, Ms.
of East
Cover?
Fishkill. Good. I would like it if you put it on the ballot. I don't want to turn this into a public opinion thing, that it all be separated. The reason is, in our town, we do not have a strong system of checks and balances against our town supervisor. Our only way to let you know whether or not we approve or disapprove of your job is to vote you either in or out. And if there's no one running against you, should there be a lot of people who don't vote for you, that would be an indication that you are not meeting all of your constituents. So therefore, I agree with term limits. I do not agree with extending it beyond the 2 years, and I would like to see that put up separately, not jointly, so that people have a choice. They're not forced to choose one choice over the other. Because as I said, I approve term limits. I oppose extending you to 4 years.
Okay, thank you. Oh, Ms. Cover, how is it going with the hookups?
Slow, but that's okay.
Have they called you yet on your road?
No, Creamery Road has not
Not
started.
yet.
They're still down on 82. But I did speak with several residents and 2 businesses that I've been in contact with, and they were pleased with the courtesy given to them to work through the needs of offices, the need for water, the need for businesses that have been shut down to try to work with their schedule. So that was expressed to me, and I did pass that on to Don Graham,
Oh, that's good. Thank you for letting me know.
that the one business was very pleased that they worked quite well with them.
Thank you, because I only get the complaints. I never get the good, so thank you.
Well, you will get them from me, as you know.
Yes, yeah.
Both
Thank-
ways.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak in the public?
How's it going?
Hi, sir.
Ready resident. I just wanted to also kind of give an opinion on term limit as well. I think it's very important from the top to the local council, whether it be President of the United States versus town councilman. It's important to me. I think we all learn from change. I disagree when someone sits in the same seat for an extended period of time. I like to see change for the good. I think if people get too comfortable over time, they get a little complacent. And if there's no one strong enough to run against that person, there's never going to be change for the better. So I do agree, we need some type of term limit. And if the reduction of the years of the term as well, from 2 to 4, or 4 to 2 actually, based on terms, would be helpful as well.
Right.
I think, you know, we all need to kind of evolve. And it's like anything. It's relationship's great, partnership is great. I'm in finance, not to give you a history of myself, but you know, a lot of my business is consumer underwriting. And the loan officers consistently revolve. They never stay with the same relationships with their clients because you could possibly make a decision that might not be favorable. So I think just putting term limits on it, you know, gives any situation where you may not feel like you have to do something or want to make something change, it may not put somebody in that predicament where they might have to feel like they have to do something, but they don't necessarily have to do it. So I just think that you want a comfortability, but there's a point where we need somebody to take over, and change is important. And I like to see things get done. Community is very important. I just think if people continue to be on the same council or board, and you know, after a while, it's just going to be like, hey, I'm a town councilman, and you know, I'm here, and I'll get to it when I get to it.
Right.
Whereas if you have a term limit, if you don't like what you see, the person's out after a certain amount of years, some new blood comes in, and things might change. And then if there's a case where that person doesn't work out, maybe the person from the previous term gets another shot.
Right.
But we can't have the same people over and over again because, again, complacency is not good. Change is super important. And it's good to get ideas from everyone. It's not always someone's idea or opinion. You need opinion and ideas of everyone.
Right.
So that's my 2 cents. I hope that we do look at term limit, in-depthly and make a wise decision.
Well, this will make it permanent, so.
Well, you have to tell your neighbors to vote in favor of it, because it'll be on that proposition.
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good evening, Jen Oppenheim.
Hi, Ms. Oppenheim.
I agree with everything that was said, and I won't reiterate the same thoughts, but I will say that I find it interesting, first of all, that we're voting on this again, when back in 2010, which was not that long ago, we had this vote, and it was before the town to vote for an extension of the town supervisor's term, and it was significantly voted down. It's not a very long time ago, so I find it interesting that we are already facing this same exact vote. I also think it's imperative that if you truly want to hear the voice of your citizens, that you will break these two votes, these two motions, into two separate propositions. They're very different issues, and whether or not we approve an extension of term limits for certain positions and whether or not we are in favor or opposed to term limits are two very different things. And by coupling them, you really don't want to hear what we have to say about these individual issues. And if you really do want to know, then I think you need to separate them and give us an opportunity to once again voice our opinion on the extension of term limits, and then separately voice our opinion on how we feel about those term limits. Not to mention that you've also worded it as for a maximum of 4 terms, which you're talking about the town board members who are already serving 4 years each term, which is 16 years, which is also a really extreme amount of time. I find it interesting that you chose 4 terms as your selection, because 16 years is a very long time. So I think there's several things here that really have to be evaluated if you really want to know how we feel as your constituents.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else wish to speak? Town board? So I'll just make a few comments. So we did go back and forth about this. Originally, it was just for the supervisor's office and the highway superintendents to go from 2 to 4. And a lot of people, I did ask members in the community about that first vote, and a lot of them don't even remember it. Actually, a lot of people don't even remember about the highway vote for the maintenance of the roads last year. A lot of people don't even turn over the ballot. So I think that a little more advertising and a little more publication of these sort of things is what's needed. A lot of people are not in the know what's on the ballot, and I think that's the first and foremost thing that we should tackle. Secondly, we did go back and forth. There were members of the board who did not agree with term limits. Some of the board members, and everybody has their own opinion, believes that every election is a term limit possibly. Anybody could get voted out of office at any time. But there are members of the board that do believe in term limits. So we haggled about what was going to be it. Was it going to be 2 terms, 3 terms, 4 terms, 5 terms? So we came to this. Unfortunately, New York State changed the way we have to present this to be put on the ballot. There was a shortened time frame. We had COVID, so this is what we came up as a compromise to put on the ballot this year, and it's up to the people. If you don't want to vote for it, then you don't have to vote for it. If you feel you're in favor of it, then how also we thought about it is what is equitable to the board. The board is comprised of 5 people. We all, including myself, the supervisor, is only 1 vote. We only have 1 vote to cast. So we're all equal. We don't have authority over one another. So when we say what's equitable is if the town supervisor and the town board have each the same amount of years on the board. That was one other issue that we thought about. So, there were many different things we were thinking about. And as myself and the highway superintendent were talking, when especially since this whole COVID came up, it's for the term of supervisor to go from 2 to 4, it's not a matter of who it is, myself or anybody else. It's for whoever would take this office in the future, because 2 years, you rarely could get much done. This year, most of the year was already gone because of COVID. A lot of the issues that we're trying to tackle got pushed back 6 months. We actually have another public hearing right after this to extend the moratorium on Route 52 for another 6 months. which we don't like to do that because we want to get that open and going because we want businesses to get going and build. But we didn't have the time, proper planning because of COVID. So these sort of issues hold people back, and if everybody could be equal on the board with the same amount of years, the same amount of terms, I think that would be advantageous. Term limits, I believe we should have term limits, especially for upper government parties like Assembly, State Senator, and up. Your local town government, we're your neighbors. We see you. We see you in the grocery stores. We see you in the supermarket. We see you at the restaurants. We're very accessible to you. You can call us on our cell phones. You could come here in town hall to talk to us about any problems, which you all do, a lot do. And I'm thankful to you to do that. But some members wanted the term limits. We tried to commingle it. We did the best we can. Nothing is perfect in the world. We're trying our best, but any other comments? Oh, sure, yes.
Hi, Sam Oppenheim, resident. I would just like to echo my fellow constituents' concerns, mentioning how these motions are entirely contrary. One is creating a stronger systems of checks and balances by finally instituting number of terms, and one is weakening it by extending these terms and by extending the length of a singular term. And rather than hearing about equitability and this whole COVID thing as a defense, I would rather hear what is the opposition to separating these two motions if you truly want to hear from the people.
Thank you. Council members, any comments or questions?
So I have a couple of comments to make. I am a strong believer in term limits, and I know I proposed this a few years back, and it didn't happen. I didn't have enough support to make it happen. I strongly believe in the Constitution of the United States, and I don't distinguish that a local position should be any different than a state or a federal position politically. Some of you have mentioned that people that are in office for too long, they get too comfortable and they don't really represent their community any longer. I strongly agree with that. Also, I have to give some valid point to the town supervisor when he says that for us, we live in your community. And you could come to my place of business, pick up the phone, stop me in the street, and voice your opinion and your comments. I also agree with that. But, in our local politics, we've had town board members that are still on the board for 20-somewhat years. And we've had highway superintendent that have been in that position for over 30 years. And people did get comfortable. The right decision didn't get made. And it is not easy to take somebody out of office, even in a small community like ours. It is much more difficult to take somebody out of office that is in Albany or is in Washington. These are the same people that when the Constitution was written, they were supposed to spend a lot of time, 99% of the time, in the community that they represent. You don't know who these people are. If you see them at a town hall meeting, you're lucky. And they'll yes you to that, and then they'll go about their ways and do whatever they want, and vote on whatever they want, and vote on whatever company puts more money in their future campaign funds. So, to me, term limits are important, because there is another way. Yes, I agree that politically a community could vote somebody out of office, but it's not easy. You need so much knowledge to just run for a political campaign. And then you need a lot of support. And believe it or not, even for a town board member, to run politically, you need financial backing. So people give up, and people say, you know what, I'm turned off, and they say, you know what, I'm out of here. And I've heard a lot of those comments, and that is why I brought term limits to the attention of the board. My ideal proposition was 3 terms. And then I had to compromise when, council person reached out and says, I would like 4 terms. To me, the goal is to put it in place. Again, if I serve on a town board for 12 years, I think, and I do the best I can, I should go back and take care of my family, my business, and go back to my normal life. That is what I believe in, and that's one of the reasons that I strongly support term limits at all levels for every elected official. Thank you for allowing me to say that.
Thank you, Councilman. Anybody else? Any other council persons? No? Okay. Anybody else? Okay, do I? Absolutely.
Bill, I'm just still curious as to what the opposition is to isolate the 2 propositions. Why, I still don't understand why we have to partner the term limits and the voting of the
I
extension.
think that we want to have the same amount of time for each member of the board.
So you're just trying to unify the terms.
No, not the terms, the amount of time someone could serve on the board.
Okay, but I understand that, but there's also no reason why you can't remain a 2-year term, have boards at 4, and have our opinion on that be heard. You would like to see them unified.
Your opinion will be heard on the ballot. You could vote no.
Except it can't be heard on 2 separate issues because you've partnered them. So I may be pro one and anti the other, but I can no longer give you my full opinion because you've partnered them. So I see that you believe that you would like to see councilmen and the supervisors on the same term. I
Because
understand that.
we have the same vote. We only have 1 vote each. I don't have authority over anybody else here.
No, so you tried to isolate these into 2 separate propositions that.
Well, no, because the town board didn't have any term limits at all. So when we had the question, we only advertised for 1. So then the one councilman said, let's do the term limits as well. So then we started discussing the term limits as well. First, it was not supposed to be any term limits. Then we says, okay, let's put the term limits as well. So then that's how it became commingled. So then we decided, okay, how should it all be the same amount of time? Okay, what will be the time? 12 years, 16 years? Then you had a little discussion about that. So now we decided everybody should have a maximum of 16 years on the board, including the supervisor. So that's what the
So
question
your
reads.
internal vote was as it.
No. We had a discussion separately. I did with Councilman Marinaro because he wanted term limits. Then I had a discussion with Councilman Franco because he does not want term limits. And we have to compromise. So I said, well, I proposed this. I sent it to the board to be put out to the public. And I said, this is what I'm offering. So they says, I could live with that. I could live with that. We don't vote separately. We don't meet together.
No, but I
talk
still
separately.
don't completely understand why that conversation couldn't also address isolating those 2 topics and having 2 separate conversations amongst yourself saying, we can vote on term limits and we can vote on length of term. I still don't understand why internally your conversations can't focus on truly hearing our opinions and how we feel on 2 separate, very separate topics.
I guess this was what was offered at the time, and this is how we have very small window to give it to New York State. This is the last month we can put it in.
Well, I'd rather see you take your time and properly present it to us.
I've had many calls
so that
from
we can actually
residents.
be heard, because now we're being forced into compromising possibly one of our values on one of the items, so that we can, I want to see term limits instituted, absolutely. Do I agree in 16 years? No, but you know what? It's the first time I've seen a step in that direction
Right, this
at
is
a
the
town
first
level.
time any
So
town's
I'm
board
already
tackled this.
compromising, saying 16 years on top of the 20-plus that some of you have already served.
Not me, I haven't served 20
No, I
plus.
didn't use names, but the fact that 16 years is now going to be on top of length of terms that have already been served. And there are a lot of parties that are here, a few parties, I should say, that were here when it was voted 10 years ago. So they're just 2 very separate issues, and I think getting them right and really hearing what we want to say about them matters more than a time limit that's imposed on you because you didn't have the conversation soon enough. I just think it's kind of insulting that you're not really getting our true opinion on 2 very independent, separate concepts.
Okay, thank you.
I don't think you're quite getting what we're asking for. If I look at number 1, it says, open public hearing to consider laws that would, and there are 2 things in there. It says, extend the term for town supervisor and highway superintendent, and limit an individual for 4 consecutive terms. Why can't you take that, put a period after 4 years, and have the second one be separate, which is all we're asking for? We don't want to see the two things put together. We'd like to see them separated. And I understand COVID threw a wrench in everybody's plans. I'm a teacher. It didn't throw any wrench in anybody's life bigger than it threw into mine. Trust me. Not only am I a teacher, I work with the disabled adult population as a volunteer. I understand COVID threw you off, but like everything else, it's part of life. And if you couldn't do it right, then why are you rushing it through? Put it off and let it go for a year and really think it through. Break it into 2 separate things, which is what the community is asking you. And it's what the community is asking you to do online also, because I do read everything online.
And I've read comments asking for
Right.
the proposal the
Right.
way it is as
But
well.
we'd like to see many of us it split. It's the same things you're asking, but we're asking you to split it. And I understand, as I said, COVID threw a wrench. I hate to tell you, but that's kind of life. You know, that's, if you're a business person, things get thrown your way, you have to adjust to it. You're a police officer, laws change, all of a sudden you've got to adjust to the law. All we're saying is, if you can't do it right, table it and do it right the following year. Don't force through something that's halfway thought through.
Thank you, ma'am. I think that this has been thought through. I respect your opinion. Everybody has different opinions. I've heard from many people in the public as well that think that all the town board members should have equal amount of years on the board. It's not fair for one to have more than the other or vice versa. And this is the fairest way we could do it. So, anybody, board members wish to make any comments?
We've had discussions about this. We've talked, all of us, with each other. And as the supervisor said, I am not a proponent of term limits. But I had a very good discussion with Councilman Marinaro, and he made some very good points, and we came up with this solution. Everybody is familiar with it, and we think that this is the best path forward for us right now.
And really, 4 years is not all that long of a time, especially when you're working on a project, especially like a state project, something with the DECs involved. It could take 1 to 2 years alone just to begin the permitting process, and that's already an election year. Like, for instance, how long did the water project take since it first started working on? How many years ago did that start?
I have been working on the water project for my entire
Right.
life to that. But all we're saying is that you're not quite getting it. I'm sorry, I'm not the podium. We're saying, not quite listening to us, guys. I feel like I need to go in teacher mode and get out the whiteboard and print it out for you, put period there. Cross out the word and, put a period. That's one proposition, to go from 2 years to 4 years. Okay? That's one proposition. The other part is to limit to 4 terms. We're just saying, why do they have to be combined is one thing. Why can't they be one separate thing and another separate thing? We don't need to have them commingled because there are different opinions on both. And personally, I think you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot if you combine them. Because I don't think you're giving people the choices that they want. I think you might be astonishingly surprised if you separated them and gave people the option to speak on both. That's all I'm saying. Separate them. I think that's all you're saying. Exactly. Again, teacher mode. Something and, put a period.
I understand.
We get it. I
I
understand what you're saying.
understand, and I've heard, no, because I've heard from other people, but the 3 people who spoke here. I speak to other people of the community as well. Don't their voices count as well?
Because they still have the opportunity to vote on the same.
And everybody gets to vote on November, whether you want it or not. And if it fails, then you have to do it different, then you could do it different.
But why can't you separate it? You're admitting you rushed it.
No, I admitted that we compromised. We added the term limits.
I'm just asking you to separate the concept.
Okay.
I mean, personally,
That's why I don't want the audience to argue. This is not for arguing. I'm sorry that anybody has to argue in the audience. This is for everybody in the community. We have 30,000 residents. They could decide. It's up to the board to put it on the ballot or not. Is there anybody else want to speak?
Why can't it be mirrored like the federal government? Like 2 terms, 4 years each. 16 years, in my opinion. If you're not doing
There's no term limits in federal government. The federal government has no term limits.
president doesn't have
Just the
Only the
president.
Only the President of the United States.
be mirrored like that. In my opinion, if the president doesn't do the job by the second term or the second year of 6 years, the guy needs to go, or the female needs to go. I mean, what are we doing here? I mean, 16 years to get something done, that's a lot of time. I don't know. In my opinion, 2 terms, 4 years, see you later.
Listen, I firmly,
If you get reelected, you do what Biden did, try to come back again. I mean, it's just
consequence to any voter by isolating them. Everyone
Keeping
who
somebody
would vote
involved.
yes on vote still has the opportunity to do so. But it is respecting those who have varying opinions on 2 very different issues and giving us or them, all, whoever, the right to vote on 2 very separate issues. And there's no consequence to those people who want it together because they're still having the equal opportunity to vote yes to both.
Anybody else wish to speak for or against? Okay, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
so moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing is now closed. Okay, Madam Clerk, you want to call the roll? Do I have a motion to adopt the law to be placed on the ballot in November for the people to vote yea or nay on the November ballot for this resolution?
Councilperson Cassidy.
He's gone.
Councilperson Marinaro. Nick, I can't hear him.
I have to abstain from voting.
Councilperson Marinaro.
I have to abstain from voting on this.
There's no abstention, there's no reason to abstain.
I'm sorry?
There's no reason to abstain, there's no,
Personal
there's
conflict.
nothing that you're personally involved in because of finances or something like that.
I don't just feel comfortable voting on this.
That's our job, though. Okay, well, clerk, you want to continue to roll? I don't,
Yes, then Councilperson Franco.
Aye.
Councilperson Beepin.
Aye.
Nick, did he answer yes? I can't hear him.
Aye.
Okay. Supervisor D'Alessandro?
good points. I vote nay.
Councilperson Marinaro, can you vote?
She didn't hear the abstention, you gotta say it in the,
He abstained.
she can only hear through the computer.
Oh, that's right, I'm sorry, Madam Clerk, you can only hear us.
Okay, I have 3 yeses. I have Cassidy, Franco, and Beepin.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Public hearing number 2, consider a local law extending the moratorium Route 52 corridor. Do I have a motion to open?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing is now opened. So, Route 52, we, when did we start the moratorium?
I can't hear him.
Can you hear me, Madam Clerk?
You muted yourself.
Hold on, Madam Clerk. Can you hear me now?
Okay, now I can, yeah.
Okay, so we opened the public hearing, everybody voted yes for the second public hearing.
Okay, thank you.
So we started a moratorium in Route 52 corridor last October? November 7th. So the town board decided that we should take a timeout on Route 52. We've got a lot of issues down there. We have contamination of wells. We have traffic conditions that are poor. We have, crowding. We have lots of things going on over there, and we have development wanting to happen. So the town board said, let's take a timeout, let's view what's going on, and do a study, and let's go from there. So in the midst of all this, COVID has come. I know people don't like to hear that, but it's true. COVID does cause a wrinkle in things. It does cause people not to work. It does cause firms not to do business. So that pushes us back. Since it pushes us back, we have to now extend this moratorium to look at some more issues down the Route 52 corridor. We have done a study. We hired Behan Planning and Design to look at the 52 corridor and see what kind of land use we could do, zoning issues, what kind of issues we have with infrastructure for water and sewer that's needed to aid in the development of commercial development. And also traffic. Traffic's a big issue. Turning lanes onto Route 376. Traffic lights at big shopping centers. We got contaminated wells, like I said, from the New York State DOT salt sheds. So there's a lot going on. We had the planner come last month, do a presentation, go through the whole thing, what we can do here, positive, minus, that's over there. But we did form a housing committee. Each member of the town board gave us a name who they cared about to enter into this committee to look at our housing stock in town. What do we have currently? What do we have on the plate to be built? And what we could do in the future? Because the last thing we want to do is overdevelop too fast or overdevelop, period. Back in the 90s when the whole town exploded, it was very quickly. And a lot of people moved up here. There was a lot of building. East Fishkill gained a lot of population very rapidly. We want to take a little pause. We want to look what's going on and see what's right for the community. Everybody complains about traffic. There is traffic issues. We want to study that. We want to have solutions to that. It's very difficult to have solutions to things like that because New York State is broke and they don't want to fund the DOT and they don't want to put up these plans to help with these plans. So what do? They look for developers who come in, want to do some projects, and they go to them to assist in spending the money to fix the traffic problems or infrastructure problems. So that's what we're doing, and we need some more time. So this is a law to extend it through March 31st. Thank you. And anybody wish to speak in the public for or against this, please come up.
I was coming to the meetings before COVID occurred, and I self-isolated because I have a handicapped son. So I was actually following this. I heartily approve of the moratorium being extended. If you drive down 52, the minute you hit the East Fishkill line, it's not very pretty from 52 all the way down. We have a lot of eyesores. We have a lot of traffic issues. We have some real...
So why wouldn't you be in favor of the moratorium?
I am in favor of the moratorium. I'm totally in favor of it because I'd really like to see us seriously look at what is there. Because also if you follow the real estate markets, they are talking about housing trending up in East Fishkill. The only question is, exactly who is being attracted to East Fishkill, exactly what needs can we meet, what aren't needs can't we meet. We need to look at the whole picture, so I think it's important to take the time, really look at what is happening, what isn't happening, and to assess the businesses. Some survived somehow, but we also, when I drove through, I saw a few businesses that didn't survive. So I think we need to really sit down and look at it and take a really good long look at some of the eyesores we have and say, what can we do about this too?
That's what we're doing. Did you happen to see the planner come last month and give the presentation?
Yes. I actually do watch it. I
Yeah.
don't always come to all the meetings because we have very strict protocols in my home. My husband isn't here because, as he put it, it would have been a 3-shower day for him, and that wasn't going to happen. So we have been actually watching them online. I've been reading all the stuff. I read all of the data that you put out on the town board. I'm very conscientious of it. And I am very concerned because we do have eyesores, we do have concerns. And if you want to talk about the impact of COVID on us, even when the schools go to a hybrid, it is going to change the busing patterns. It's going to actually double the number of buses potentially coming in and out of schools at certain times. So we may need to look at the whole picture, not just the corridor, but everything that goes into the corridor.
Right, well, that's what we're trying to do, Ms. Cover. We take it seriously. We understand that there are, like you said, developers wanting to come here. They want to build here because it's an advantageous location. We have 84, we have Taconic, but we need to plan properly. We need to fix some of the issues that we have, so.
And we also need to really vet our builders. I'm just throwing this out there because, as I said, I'm very involved with the handicap community. We do have them across the street. What we were sold isn't necessarily what they got.
But that's not up to us
That's
who
not up to
comes
you.
here.
I'm just saying, we need to really look at developers coming in and maybe open our eyes and ears that there's a different developer that can come in and do the same thing, but maybe do it right, or do it better, or do it with more empathy. That's all I'm asking, because I understand that we have to meet certain codes, but let's look at more developers, not let's just jump at the first one because he is 6'4" and a bully. And he looks at you like, get lost, lady. I'm just saying, let's look at several builders, because we have a moral, and you know how I feel strongly about this, obligation to those we bring into our community. Not just a legal obligation, we do have a moral obligation.
Well, we
And
don't
I'm-
like to get sued, that's for sure.
Right, but on a side note, I did take the advice, I believe it was Mr. Bifon and Mr. Franco who encouraged us as businesses open to go out and check out new businesses. I want you to know that I have actually gone to some new places and even went out of my comfort zone. But that's a good thing. But I'm just saying,
Absolutely.
let's maybe step back and really be careful, because I think we may have more options. I think if people are moving out of the city, maybe we have more builders who we can look at, more developers, we can look at things a little differently, maybe find things that fit our community a little bit better. So,
Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak for or against the extension of the moratorium?
Hi, my name's Jay Annis.
Jay, how are you?
Good. I would like to read a letter, because this way I will not forget anything, that I was sent to the town board. Gentlemen, I am one of the principals of JFE Associates, owners of the property at 2528 Route 52. For over a year now, we have had a contract to sell our parcel, which has now been delayed 11 months due to the moratorium put in place last November. While the moratorium was to have expired in June 2020, to extend it by another 9 months could greatly jeopardize our sale agreement. It would also make selling the property even more difficult and would devastate the value and marketability of the property. This would not be in the best interests of the town or JFE Associates. Any plans the buyer has for the property, be they commercial, residential, or some combination, would greatly enhance tax revenue for the town by hundreds of thousands of dollars. This is especially true given the recent exodus of New York City residents to the suburbs, of which East Fishkill has already seen the benefits. Additionally, while it is understandable that the town seek to solve the water and sewer issues in that corridor, this can be accomplished without a moratorium. Some of this might be alleviated by developers. And within the initial term, what has actually been accomplished? It has been 10 months since the moratorium was first commenced. The planning process, to include review by all involved agencies, should suffice as protection for the well-being of the town. To summarize, continuation of the moratorium is not in the best interest of the town and could prove harmful to our company. I ask that while your studies might continue, that they be conducted without extending the existing moratorium. To add to my letter, it seems that the moratorium and what you're trying to accomplish is in direct conflict with what you stated earlier about economic development, because that's the exact opposite of what's happening on Route 52. Our property is not affected by the contaminated wells. Our well is fine. So again, it's not something that our property would be concerned with. To ask a buyer, a developer, and a seller to wait 2 years to close on a contract is just outrageous. And I'm fearful that the developer that we have as a buyer is going to walk away from this. That's a distinct possibility. I don't know what their plans are. The contract is not reliant on them submitting plans. We know how your agencies work, and your agencies are very thorough in what they go through to allow a developer to build. I think that can be done without extending the moratorium. Lastly, just full transparency. I apologize that it was so late, but a letter was sent from our attorney to your town attorney, Mr. Woods, later this afternoon. Thank you.
Sir, you know, when we're done with the moratorium and whatever the town board decides for any possible zoning changes, that could be even more advantageous for you.
I don't know that that's the case.
We don't know either because we haven't gotten that far yet, but
And you're making the assumption that, you know, economic conditions at the end of March will be better, worse. They could be better, worse than they are now.
that's true too.
You know, quite honestly, as you know, we've been trying to sell this property for 10 years. We've had 4 or 5 different deals. They've all fallen apart for one reason or another. In some cases, 2 of those 5 cases was a result of things that the town did, town boards. Obviously not all of you guys, because you weren't there. Maybe some of you were. But we now have a deal in place. We've had it since last summer. And to extend this moratorium is going to put that in jeopardy. And I'm not so sure, you know, how can we look at selling something, you know, with a moratorium on the property? Because the property value is just going to keep going down. That's my concern.
If I may, just for the record, have a few things clarified. First of all, during the existing moratorium, the town board did commission a study. That's a planning study that we have to take a look at all the current land uses and discuss potential changes, because the town board has to consider amending the town's master plan. So that was what's been accomplished, if you will, to date, that study. The second phase is to create the zoning ordinance amendments that the town board would consider to change the permitted uses along the corridor. The only uses that I'm aware of for this particular property would require a zoning change anyway. It's not a permitted use as of right, the way the property is zoned. So I think your suggestion, Mr. Supervisor, that that property be mixed into the planning process by having the applicant perhaps give information to it may actually benefit the property owner if the town board thought that that was an appropriate revision in that area. So, and also the final point is, while you're setting a date for it to expire March 31st, if we complete the process sooner, it's always the custom and tradition as board to terminate the moratorium sooner.
I'd just like to ask one other question. I understand COVID has affected a lot of people, but millions of people have been working through COVID. The engineer and consulting firms that you hired, were they working through these 5 months or so? And
For several months they weren't. We had to really get a fire under their tail to get them to give us a presentation last month, and I really had to push them because I wanted that done at least to hit that benchmark before the moratorium was finished.
okay, so there were a few months where they didn't actually do any work.
Unfortunately, it was hard to get a lot of their staff in, and this happened to a lot of firms.
Okay.
But, you know, and it was very difficult for us to, our meetings were all upside down. We did finally get together a housing committee, which is very important to all the members of the community, including this town board, and we finally, last month, were able to form that committee, and they are meeting with the planner currently. So we are moving forward, and like the attorney said, if we can end this moratorium quicker, sir, we are wanting development in our town, but we have to do it correctly.
Is there any possibility that maybe that you don't have to do a 6-month moratorium?
Yeah, well, like he says, I think we did it for 6 months, just so we wouldn't, if we did need more time, we have to come back. But I like by the end of the year would be a goal for me to finish it up earlier.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Anybody else in the public wish to speak for or against this extension of the moratorium? Any board members?
So Tom, like you suggested before, if we come to any kind of conclusion prior to the deadline, we will be able to revise the
Oh,
deadline?
we repeal the moratorium, sure.
Sorry, Nick.
No, that's okay. Any other comments?
No, that's it.
That's it? Anybody else? No? Okay. Do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Do I have a motion to extend the moratorium to March 31st?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. Public hearings down. Okay. Everybody received the July 23rd, 2020 minutes. Clerk, were there any additions, subtractions, modifications to the minutes?
No, there was not.
No? Okay, do I have a motion to accept the July 23rd, 2020 minutes?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved, thank you. We have 2 additions to the agenda. One is accepting additional infrastructure for the Hopewell North Water District, and number 2 is appointing a seasonal tax record clerk. We'll do those at the end. Okay, courtesy of the floor, this is the time of the meeting where you can come up and speak on any agenda items, anything going on in the town, anything you wish. Anybody wish to speak on any agenda items or any general town issues? Okay, with that, resolutions. Number 1, declare certain police property surplus. Councilman Franco.
Whereas the police department has provided the town board with a list of equipment which is deemed to be of no further use to the town and thus should be considered surplus. Whereas the attached items are being requested to be declared surplus material and disposed of. Whereas the town board has reviewed said list and concurs. Now therefore it be it further resolved that the list of equipment has been provided, said items have been declared unwanted, obsolete, replaced, and/or damaged beyond repair and should be properly disposed of.
Thank you, Councilman. Do I have a motion to declare certain police property surplus?
So move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? So, we got a lot of issues, we got a lot of things here on the list. A lot of them non-functioning, and Chief, you want to speak on anything here?
Every item on that list is either broken, it was too expensive to toss out, completely outdated, such as 20-year-old laptop computers which are not usable, old servers, recording equipment that is no longer adaptable, cannot be used, and this was confirmed with Sullivan Data, our tech company. So everything there is just taking up space, about half an office worth, and I would like to properly destroy those items so that nothing can be used, or any data, rather, excuse me, can be escaped. So right now, it is pretty much heavy, bulky garbage.
Okay, thank you, Chief. I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. Number 2. Award a bid to modify intersection of Fishkill Road and 82. So the Hopewell Glen subdivision approval, Toll Brothers was obligated to pay $800,000 towards the intersection fixes. Toll Brothers has submitted the funds towards the improvement of the intersection. Town clerk was authorized to advise and receive bids for this subject. The bids were received, and the lowest bidder is ELQ Industries for $342,842. So as everybody knows, we've been doing a lot of work on Fishkill Road. We have, we rehabbed the whole road. We had this big machine come in, dig it all up, lay it back down. Now we're in the process of going to top coat it. And is this going to happen before that, the top coat, or the top coat's happening and then?
Top coat's done.
Oh, top coat's done, even better. So now, where the intersection of, where the road, Fishkill Road meets Route 82, it's a very difficult angle. So we're using the funds that the Hopewell Glen subdivision gave us. We did design, and now we're actually going to change the way the entrance goes onto Route 82, make it more perpendicular. It's a very tough angle, as everybody knows. Years ago, we did try to make a four-way intersection with Palin Road. That didn't happen. The MTA, they didn't want to give us any approvals to make that. It was a bad angle. It was, you know, the whole 9 yards. It wasn't good. So this is our second try at this, and this is the bid for it. It will be done. When will this be done?
The goal is to have it done this year, end of this year.
This year, by the end of this year. That's great news. So do I have a motion to award the bid to modify the intersection of Fishkill Road and 82?
So moved.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. Everybody knows where this is. Everybody knows we've been discussing this for a long while. It's well overdue. Thank God Highway Superintendent got that road paved. Everybody is now, the chief of police has to be there because it's a freeway. It's a speed zone, chief. You gotta get more people out there to, you know, I'm sorry to say, you gotta write some more tickets because now it's too smooth.
We'll look into that, sir.
Okay, chief, thank you. All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. Number 3, award town-wide drainage improvements. Councilman Marinaro?
Award a bid for townwide drainage improvements, whereas the town-wide drainage improvements are necessary in certain areas with the town, and whereas the town clerk was authorized to advertise and receive bids for such subject. And now whereas bids were received, the bid tabulations are hereby attached. Now therefore be it resolved that the town engineer has recommended that the bid be awarded to the lowest responsible bidder, Boher Construction Incorporation, is hereby awarded the bid at the price of $162,314.
Thank you, Councilman. Do I have a motion to award the townwide drainage improvement?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? So we have many projects going on, and Highway Superintendent and his crew is very busy. So
We are.
one of the projects here is Hillside Lake. So we do have $100,000 in our budget yearly for drainage. This is for $162,000, but 60-some-odd thousand of those dollars, I believe 66,000, is for the Hillside Lake project, which will be paid out of the Hillside Lake grant that we have. So this bid will actually be under budget for the year, so I'm happy about that.
Me too.
Yes.
Very much so.
Something under budget, that's good to hear.
Look what we're doing here, right?
Yes. So do we have a motion and a second, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. Okay, number 4, authorize the support of emergency first responders, privacy protection. Councilman Beepam?
Whereas new discovery reform laws were passed in the 2019-20 budget that overhauled the discovery process, requiring an expedited timeline to provide materials such as police reports, radio transmissions, body-worn and dash cam video, along with other data related to prosecution. whereas the current law protects law enforcement personnel, allowing their personal identity information to be excluded from the discovery documents and records, but does not include protections for first responders, who in many instances provide services at crime scenes. Whereas ambulance services, personnel, and advanced life support first responder members who are employed or by enrolled members of any such service should also have their personal identifying information protected from discovery. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of East Fishkill hereby encourages all members of the New York State Senate and Assembly to support resolutions or Senate Bill 7280 and Assembly Bill 09107 entitled Emergency First Responders Privacy and Protection Act.
Thank you, Councilman. Do I have a motion to support the Emergency First Responders Privacy and Protection Act?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. So this is important. You know, this town board, we are supportive of all first responders, and it's pretty scary to see their information out there, and I thought that this was appropriate to put this in front of the board to show our support for our first responders. Any other comments or questions?
Absolutely. There's no reason why a volunteer firefighter or volunteer EMS personnel should be subpoenaed to court and also have their information given to a criminal or alleged criminal on the scene as a witness.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. Okay, number 5, authorize fireworks for Labor Day. Councilman Franco?
Whereas the New York State Legislature provides that the local legislative body can approve fireworks displays, and whereas the East Fishkill Town sponsors a September 4th fireworks display at the McGrath Field, rain date September 6th. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board does hereby authorize the use of a fireworks display for this event and acknowledges that a certificate of insurance is on file in the town clerk's office.
Thank you, Councilman. Do I have a motion to authorize the fireworks for Labor Day?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? So our 4th of July was very successful. We had a large turnout. Yes, it was the beginning of the time where everybody started going out after, you know, from the whole COVID, and it was so successful. We asked the town board tonight to do another one for Labor Day. We did a wonderful thing in the park. And this will be coupled as well with a concert in the park, and we drew these circles throughout the whole field, which was great. Families could stay in the circles, and you know, so they could be socially distanced from other families, stay without a mask in those, as long as they're in those circles, and it worked out very well. People came. All the parking lots were available for all the people to park and watch the fireworks through their vehicles. And actually, the chief told me it ran very, very well and very smooth. So I appreciate that from all the residents, and we're hopeful you'll take advantage of this fireworks display again. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Number 7, receiving application from Blue Water Realty for the West Campus on Route 52.
6.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Skip one.
Thank you. I skipped one. Okay.
Permit part-time.
Part-time employee for the building department. Councilman Marinaro?
Whereas a full-time position for typist is open in the building department, and whereas the town is going to fill part of this position with a permanent part-time employee who is currently working as a temporary typist in that department, and now therefore be it resolved that the following person is hereby appointed. The permanent part-time typist is Mary Gerlin, residing in Opal Junction, and is to be paid at an hourly rate of $15.04. It cannot exceed working hours 17 and a half hours per week. This appointment will be effective August 31st, 2020.
Thank you, Councilman. So, do I have a motion to appoint permanent part-time typist for the building department?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? So, Ms. Gerlin is in the building department right now. We did have a We did have a retirement in the planning department, which then we moved somebody over from the building department because we're trying to save costs, and now we are only filling that full-time position in the building department with a part-timer. Mary has done a wonderful job, and this will make her a permanent part-timer. Any other discussions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. Number 7, I was too excited for this. This is accept an application from Blue Water Realty for the West Campus on Route 52 and seek lead agency under SECRA. Blue Water Realty has submitted an application for an economic redevelopment special permit of the zoning law with respect to the former West Campus on Route 52. Also submitted was an environmental assessment form for the proposed project. The town board acknowledges the receipt of this application, and the town planner is authorized to notify interested and involved agencies of the town board intent to become lead agency under SECRA. Now be it further resolved that the town's professional staff is authorized to take such steps as are necessary to advance the said application. Do I have a motion to accept the application from Blue Water Realty?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. So, like I commented earlier in my comments, the town board has been working very hard for this. The town board several years ago, like I mentioned earlier, we changed a bunch of uses on the West Campus and East Campus to allow different businesses there, different uses, mostly industrial, but now some commercial as well on the East Campus. And because that was just one parcel with IBM, so it was only for the industrial of microprocessing. So we changed we allowed different uses. We also did a GEIS, a General Environmental Impact Statement, so we can allow more businesses to come in. It's a little bit more shovel ready, and my hat's off to the town board for this because it was a lot of work. And we are working with our Economic Development Committee, we are working with our professionals, and now we have an application from Blue Water Group for a large building, about 630,000 square feet, and they will clean up the entire site back there, and it will produce more different companies to come here. It's going to be something, and it's repurposing I should say a dilapidated site in our town. Many buildings were coming down over there, they were demolished, and to see this get regenerated with a new use, it's a wonderful thing. So we don't have to take other properties of town that have never had any types of use like this and put it there. This is where it belongs. These are the areas of town where we want to redevelop. All the water and sewer infrastructure are in place already. The power is there. So this is what makes it advantageous for these businesses to come here. So any comments from the town board?
Very excited. This is what we've been working on for years, so this is big.
Absolutely. This is a
Really big.
major step.
It's nice to see.
Well, I mean, just so that the community knows, that this is where the bulk of our taxes for the schools come from. And thank God that we have occasions like these that we could continue to keep our taxes low in our town. So it is great news for the community. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much. Number 8, authorize hiring replacement seasonal employees for recreation. Councilman Bepan?
Whereas the town of East Fishkill conducts summertime programs for the residents of the town, whereas during the summer, the town recreation department hires temporary part-time workers to assist in the various programs, whereas the director of recreation has submitted to the town board a listing of names of employees for this summer program and the amounts of their salaries to be paid. These individuals are just in substitution of previously scheduled employees and are highlighted on the attached sheet. Whereas it is the desire of the town board to authorize these employees for a summertime period, and all employees as all operations will be in line with current COVID-19 regulations. Now therefore be it resolved that the town comptroller be hereby authorized to place on the town payroll as temporary summer employees, and be it further resolved that said employment shall only be during the summertime employment for the amounts listed in the memo, and that upon completion of their task, they shall be removed from the payroll unless further ordered by the town board.
Thank you, Councilman. Do I have a motion to authorize the hiring of replacement seasonal employees for Red Wing?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? So we originally had a list that we approved. A lot of those employees found other jobs because we had a big delay at Red Wing for opening, so we had to find more employees. So this is the list. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. Number 9, seeking revocation of the franchise agreement for Central Hudson and Optimum. On August 4, 2020, Region suffered storm damage because of Tropical Storm Isaias. The storm damage resulted in power and cable outages throughout the town and regions. Service restoration took in excess of 6 days. Some areas still don't have service from Optimum. Central Hudson and Optimum were poorly prepared to restore service, and their communications with the public and local officials was non-existent, sporadic, and when it did occur was often inaccurate and misleading. This is not the first time this has occurred, and both utilities have been granted franchises, giving them a monopoly for their activities. And the duty of the franchises is to the public has been broken and disregarded. The regulation of these corporate giants is entrusted to the New York State Public Service Commission. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby demands action to be taken by the New York State Public Service Commission to revoke the franchisees and to obtain operators who will adhere to the obligations of a franchise, and be it further resolved that the town supervisor take all appropriate steps to cancel any agreements with the utilities or seek damages for the breach of duties. Be it further resolved that the clerk is to send a copy of this resolution to the Governor, Public Service Commission, New York State Representatives, Congressman Maloney, and U.S. Senators Schumer and Gillibrand. Do I have a motion to support the attempt to revoke the franchise of Central Hudson and Optimum?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion.
Mr. Supervisor, I just want to abstain from this conversation and from this vote due to my employment with Verizon.
Excellent, thank you. I discussed this in my comments earlier. Optimum has really been MIA. They have not responded to any of our demands, any of our queries to people without service. It's really horrible. That's what it is. It's horrible because they really didn't even show remorse when we had a call with the county executive and a member or representative from the Public Service Commission. They said nothing. They just stood there and took what we were giving them. And I think that fails our residents. It fails their customers. And I think that they deserve better. They pay dearly for this service. It's expensive. And I think that they owe it, and the Public Service Commission has to go out and make sure, demand that they do the right thing. And like I said earlier, I want the town board to authorize me to send out letters to other carriers to ask them to come here, have a conversation with them. What are the obstacles in their way? See if the town board could help assist with these companies to come in here if we can. It's I get very upset about it because I had so many calls, so many emails unanswered. And it's disheartening. Central Hudson, they did a wonderful job in the restoration. The employees do a wonderful job. The men on the ground, the communication with the local municipal leaders, excellent. But their upper management, terrible. They don't do the right thing with the maintenance of the wires. They don't spend the correct dollars and make and increase the budgets where they're needed. Instead, they go and increase their bonuses. They should be trimming the trees more in the spring and the summer, so when these storms come, we'll have less outages. That's what they should be spending their money. So I get very passionate about it, but any other board members wish to speak on this?
Well, if you remember, when we awarded the contract for Cablevision, I did make mention at the time that we had very poor service and that their fees were going up astronomically.
Well, we don't
And-
set the fees, the Public
Right.
Service Commission
Correct.
does that.
And he assured us that, you know, they would do a better job. Sure enough, it hasn't happened. I mean, the power came off at many houses in the community, including mine, but the service of the internet was not available. So all the phones were down. I know a lot of the business rely on the internet
Sure.
for their phones.
People working from home now.
So there was, and the bottom line is that you couldn't get in touch with them. Their phones was out of commissions. So it's really, it's not, in the year 2020, we cannot have this situation go on.
No, I agree.
And, you know, the community's up in arm. I mean, all the comments that you hear, I mean, the ones that we have received is that we do need competition. We need somebody else to come in, if it's possible. And, you know, make it better for the community. That's all we're asking for. I mean, the cost is really also prohibitive. And the bottom line is that if you try to cut the cost, they don't allow it. You gotta either buy the whole thing or none. And, you know, if you don't, you can't have internet access or the phone. You know, it's really, it's a bad situation. So thank you, Supervisor, for what you're doing, and I hope that we could get this resolved.
Thank you, Councilman, and I'd like to thank Councilman Bepan. He really was, you know, aiding me in trying to get a hold of Optimum. He sent many messages to them. I think who did you get a hold of then, Councilman?
We went through the Office of Intergovernmental Affairs at the White House, and we even were able to speak to someone from the FCC who, may I propose that we add them to the dissemination list as well, the FCC onto this. We spoke to a representative there, and they did indicate that residents should continue to file complaints with the FCC. We were able to get in contact with one of the vice presidents of Altice, who at first were very responsive, and then they dropped off the face of the planet right around the time the storm happened, which is absolutely unacceptable. So thank you for proposing this resolution, Supervisor.
Yeah, and thank you for your help. So we will add to the, that the town clerk send a copy of this resolution also to the FCC representative, please. I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
One abstention.
Aye.
Clerk, Councilman Franco abstained. Approved. Thank you very much. Number 10, award the bid for reconstruction of curbs and sidewalks at the community center. Councilman Marinaro?
Whereas the curbs and sidewalks at the community centers are in need of repairs, and whereas the town clerk was authorized to advertise and receive bids for such subject, and whereas bids have been received, the bid tabulations are hereby attached. Whereas $60,000 will be deducted from the Recreation Department Development Fund, the town will only use the funds that are needed to complete the project. And now therefore be it resolved that the town engineer has recommended that the bid be awarded to the lowest responsible bidder, Precise Enterprise Second Ltd. Is hereby awarded the bid at the price of $44,048.
Thank you, Councilman. Do I have a motion to award the bid for reconstruction of curbs and sidewalks at the community center?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? So many of you, if you go to the community center, that's also, you know, we have it for our senior center. And it's, you know, now the senior center, the community center has a few years on it. There's been settling on the curbs, and there's been some accidents. It's not level, and some of these seniors, you know, it's a trip hazard, and unfortunately, there has been some tripping. And also in the rear where we can have a wheelchair go, it's settled and it's lower than the door, so it's, you know, difficult to get in. So it's appropriate to fix the community center sidewalks. It's in the best interest of the town, and especially for all the seniors and any handicapped person. So, any other comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. We have two from the floor. First is appointing a seasonal tax clerk. Councilman Franco?
Whereas the independently elected receiver of taxes has designated Michelle McIntyre to be a tax record clerk on a seasonal basis in her department. Whereas the seasonal schedule will be for the school tax collection August 28th, 2020 to November 25th, 2020. Whereas the town board has agreed and concurred with this request, now therefore be it resolved that Michelle McIntyre be and hereby is designated as a seasonal tax record clerk in the tax department. Be it further resolved that said clerk shall be compensated $15.04 an hour in accordance with the collective bargaining agreement. This appointment shall take effect as of August 28th, 2020.
Thank you, Councilman. Do I have a motion to hire the seasonal for the tax receiver's office?
So move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? So we do this every year. We have a seasonal assist the tax clerk in collections. Our collection is starting September 1st. And like I said earlier, we will be opening up to the public on Mondays and Thursdays, so people can come in here and pay their taxes in person if they wish. And this is only a seasonal, which means that they can only work 6 months a year, 3 months for this collection, and then 3 months in the second collection come January. So do I have a motion and a second, right? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. Last one, accepting additional infrastructure for Hopewell North Water District. The town board has previously accepted from the EPA parts of the water system constructed by the EPA to remediate the Hopewell Precision Superfund site, which is within the Hopewell North Water District. Additional parts of the system are now ready to be dedicated. Now therefore be it resolved that the water infrastructure installed in the roads listed on the attached list will be hereby accepted on behalf of the Hopewell North Water District. Those roads are Hamilton Road, Cavello Road, Henry Drive, Thunder Road. Previously, okay, do I have a motion to accept this additional roads for the Hopewell North Water District?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. So these are additional roads. We have weekly meetings sometimes, two weekly meetings with the EPA. Sorry, engineer. But it's going well. They are starting connections, which is very good. They have asked for additional roads to be added. You know, just like we have when we have a water system and we're trying to put meters in and other things. They run into people not home, on vacation, they don't want to do it right now, so the more roads that they have available, the quicker then they could add people on and then go back to the people that they miss. So in saying that, the town also, I had an issue, I want to make sure that the town is going to get paid in full for all the monies that we have expensed so far, spent on the Cannon well fields, on the expansion of the filtration building, and everything else. So, as we all know, we've discussed this many times, that the EPA is not in the position to give a guarantee, I should say, to give you back your money. To date, they have paid us back, I believe, 67% of what we have spent. We have an agreement with them that they are to pay us back for 79% of our total costs, because some of the things that we also built are going to favor other parts of our town. So their share came out to the 79%. And I have an email from Mr. Garabini from the EPA indicating that he agrees with the town and our comptroller, our finance office, with the number that we have come up with for the final payment of the connection fee, in condition with an audit, of course, and that they are going to be hopeful, which of course they are, this is the third phase of the project, once that the federal government issues their new budget come October 1st, that the funding will be in there for the third and final phase. So we were comfortable enough with that to accept more roads, and once we get another partial payment, or hopefully the full payment, then we can accept the rest of the roads and take over the whole system once the job is completed. So, with saying that, these roads will be added, and we have a motion and a second. Any other comments or questions or concerns? No? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much. That'll do it for resolutions. There are no budget transfers. Town board comments. Councilman Beekman?
Just a few things about recreation. One, Red Wing restrooms are finally, they're going to be opening on August 28th. I know they've been closed for just about the entire season. We apologize for that. We were having issues with construction being delayed because of COVID, and then getting people back to work and water hookups and all that other stuff. But finally, we have a deadline for that. So thank you to everyone involved with making that project happen. Thank you, Kenny and the guys and everyone over at Recreation. Our adult pickleball lessons and co-ed volleyball clinic, they are and they've been a great success so far this year. So thank you to everyone involved with that, especially Maria Mahoney. She really took the lead on developing the volleyball clinic, and it's been great so far. Parks remain open from dawn to dusk. Just a little side note on that, I did see some individuals talking about a goose, or was it, I'm not really sure what type of bird it was, but they had fishing line wrapped around its web. So if you are fishing out on our, what's that?
No, go ahead.
Yeah, if you are fishing out there and you know, your line gets caught, or, you know, you have to cut it, try to clean up as much of it as possible, because it does impact our wildlife in the area. And lastly, thank you so much to Jan, Bill, our camp staff, our lifeguards, and everyone that worked together to put whatever remnants of this recreation year together. It was very difficult, especially with all the guidelines coming in from the state and the county, to just put something together. We were able to open Red Wing as limited as it was. We were able to have almost like a day camp for kids on Mondays for a good portion of the summer. And I know it's not much this year, but it was something, and we do appreciate all their efforts for that. So, but other than that, I wish everyone has a safe and restful Labor Day and a happy end to summer. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman, and you're right, they did a great job for what little we had. Our new rec director, she did a phenomenal job with the little bit that we did do, so thank you to all of them. Councilman Franco.
Chief Bellino, he continues to do a magnificent job, and I want to thank him for all of his hard work on the job and off the job. The amount of work that he's done at the police station has been immense, and I think he spends more time there, certainly, than at home. Would that be true? Yeah. No, honestly, Chief, we're very grateful for all that you've done, and the entire crew. They've been fantastic. So as far as our Veterans Committee, I sent an email out today to the Veterans Committee. We took quite a lengthy hiatus due to COVID-19, and we're looking to get back on schedule. We have a meeting scheduled for next week, and hopefully we'll continue doing some good things for our veterans here in town. Hometown Heroes, just a little update on that. I had a talk today with the Supervisor's Secretary, Gina Grippo, about our Hometown Heroes banners, and the orders keep piling in. We currently have 237 of them.
Wow.
So I'd like to thank Gina for all her hard work on this project, as she's pretty much become the point person to talk to. And we also have to have a big, huge thank to Kenny Williams from Highway and his crew.
Well, not him.
Hey,
The Highway Department.
for them to go out and hang those banners, I know, Kenny, it's a lot. It takes a lot of time. We keep getting more. How many more did you put out?
We're going back out tomorrow.
Yeah, so we keep getting orders, so we're very, very grateful. So without the two of you guys and your crew, it wouldn't be the success that it is. So we're very grateful for that, so thank you.
We appreciate it.
So do the veterans
We love to do
and
it.
their families.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Marinaro?
So I want to thank all the first responders for their help during this last issue that we had, the big storm at the beginning of the month. And I want to say a big thank to the Highway Department. I have been talking to them during the storm and while they were doing the cleaning up, and He pulled all the men out of the shop, including his mechanics, to go out there and clear the roads, cut the trees, because there was priority. And I have to thank the highway superintendent for doing such a good job. You know, they worked very hard, and they assisted the electrical company clearing the roads, and they got the job done. So, I mean, the job is not finished, but, you know, we had quite a bit of damage in the community, and I was happy to hear that he managed his people properly. So thank you to the highway superintendent. That's basically it. The other thing is that, again, you know, I got to echo what the comments of the town supervisor regarding the electrical companies and the phone companies and the internet companies. A lot of people in the community had to shut down their business. And these companies have to realize that for people like us that live in a community like ours, rural, we depend on those services. And they have to really prepare better. The storm is coming, and we usually have know about this stuff a few days in advance, and we can't let people stay out without these services. You know, we have people that depends on the machines, that, you know, life support and stuff, that they use it in their own homes. It's not acceptable. So, you know, things have to be really done better. And I think one of the reasons, like the town supervisor said, that there is a slack in maintaining, cleaning the branches off the trees around the wires. I personally, it's been probably 2 years that I've seen less trucks around in our community. So that's something that needs to be remediated immediately.
Thank you, Councilman. I'm not going to thank the highway superintendent anymore. He's had enough. So we'll go to him, though. Highway superintendent, do you have something?
All right, so everybody knows we had the tropical storm August 4th. I want to thank all my men and women of my highway department, even the part-timers, the seasonals, the mechanics. We all were out there, countless hours. The chief of police and his crew, we all worked together, our local fire department. We suffered substantial damage all around town, town-wide. It was everywhere. I don't think there was a road that didn't have something. Even the finance department there, our building in the back was hit by a tree. So we worked with Central Hudson. We got everything open as quickly as possible. It did take quite a bit of time. And it took us about 2.5 weeks to get everything cleaned up as of now. We still have some other, you know, easements that we have to clean out still, but the roads are 100% fully cleaned up. Also, we completed all our pipe work on Leetown Road in preparation for the paving that took place. So any rotted pipes, any catch basins that needed to be repaired were all done prior to our reclamation and our paving, which we used Gorman for our reclamation. Clove Excavators did our paving. We also worked closely with the town of Kent on that project, so that took, you know, from 52 right out to Dean Road to Farmers Mill, so it was a joint project on both towns. And I also had our town supervisor come out and take a walk down there with our Senator Sue Serino joined us on that one as well.
Yeah, it didn't dirty my shoes either. It was good.
No, you did good. So also work we did was on Fishkill Road. We reclamated that also with Gorman, also paved that with Clove. I want to thank our town engineer for working with us on that one. It was took us a while. We got it done. Let's see what else. Also, the shoulder work that we are doing on Leetown is all recycled material that we've stored and stockpiled for the last 3 years that I've been in office, and we screened that all out, and we're saving thousands of dollars using that material rather than purchasing it from a gravel bank. Pipe work, also, Pell's Road, we replaced the pipe, Angela Court, pipes and catch basins, Old Sylvan Lake Road. Also on Pell's, we cleaned out the entire easement that runs through that back development. And we're currently working on West Hook Mountain, where we replaced all the pipes up there, the drainage ditches, and we're doing that in-house paving up there. Jet vac work, Pell's Bridge, Stormville Road, Pine Brook Loop, Judith Drive, Wilmot Court, Eder Road, and all of Devon Farms. That's it from me.
Yeah, you
Been
guys
busy.
You guys aren't too busy.
A little bit.
Chief,
I got you covered.
you're another one that they're praising you up and down, Chief. Go ahead.
Yeah, this month, though, kudos goes out to the Highway Department. My office responded to over 200 call-related, just for the storm. So the following day, we backtracked all the calls, all the trees down, so that we can get an active list. And every time we got to another call, there was just a pile of sawdust there. At one point, one of the highway dump trucks ran one of my police cars off the road. Kenny and his crew did a fantastic job. They went from call to call to call to call. They seemed to work 24 hours straight during that storm. And I just wanted to point that out because I was, out there a little bit, and his guys were just fantastic. So we did about 2,000 calls for service since our last meeting, and training-wise, to fit what the governor's asking us to do, we did some de-escalation training for the whole department on the 21st of August, and we did some active shooter training on the 27th, 29th, and 31st of July, which included shoot, no shoot training scenarios to kind of fit in with the needs of today's requirements. So that was the training we did. And one more thing, the volunteer fire department, rescue squad, and fire police were out there in the rain going sideways, helping us out. And Steve Conti and his crew did a fantastic job on August 4th. That's it for me.
I got to give one more kudos to Butch Kidney and his crew during that storm, too. They joined up with us as well. We had everybody out, all hands on deck.
Yeah, that was a doozy of a storm. We had a tree go through our finance office, through the roof. Luckily, it was a big tree. Somebody would have been killed if they were in there. So happy it was after hours and nobody was hurt. But yeah, thank you all for very, very hard and good work. And I'm not going to call on our deputy supervisor. He's away. And he's probably eating something like he always is. So I just want to say thank you to all our residents. Thank you for all the calls, the emails that you send me. I appreciate it. You ask for if you can assist in any way possible, helping your neighbors, helping seniors through the storm, through the COVID. So many stories that I've been told that you call me and email me. I'm thankful. We have such a great community. We are really all blessed to live here. And it's nice to see that. Please continue that. Have a wonderful Labor Day. Be safe, be healthy, and enjoy each other. And our next town board meeting is our workshop on September 10th. And with that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.
Per un barbiere di qualità. Bravo Figaro, bravo, bravissimo, bravo. La, fortunatissimo per verità, bravo. La, fortunatissimo per verità, fortunatissimo per verità. Pronto per tutto, la notte e il giorno, sempre d'intorno, in giro sta, miglior cuccagna per un barbiere, vita più nobile non si dà. La 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 la. Rasori e pettini, lancette forbici al mio comando, tutto qui sta. Lancette forbici, rasori e pettini al mio comando, tutto qui sta. Ve la risorsa, poi del mestiere, con la donnetta, col cavaliere, con la donnetta, tra l'allero, col cavaliere.